Hey, we've talked about this before, and I don't know exactly the date, but perspective. I just returned some hinges that I'd gotten here from the Valley City's fence, and I'm kind of surprised. I'm not shocked, but I'm surprised they didn't just give me back, a little bit of money for the hinges, but they didn't. And I just thought, you know what? I don't need the hinges. And I certainly don't want to carry them around. They weren't really hinges; they were actually latches. And the idea was that the gate would automatically close. It would just latch automatically. Really an awesome idea. Good idea. I'm here in Horsetown, USA, city of Norco, and I wish you could see it. The lines between the lanes are red, white, and blue. They're literally red, white, and blue lines to divide the cars. They have everything's horse. It's all very horse oriented, and it's really amazing. It's a pretty cool place, considering that I work with my boss out in Agoura, and she's all into horses. So I wonder, I'd have to ask her and see, hey, you ever been to Norco? You ever, I don't think this is more of a country western kind of thing, but horses are not cheap. So. But this certainly doesn't seem like an Agoura or Palm Springs or La Quinta kind of situation. So I get to come down here and visit a little bit. It wasn't too far out of the way, and I got the hinges back to their home, and it's a shame I didn't have the receipt there, but oh well. What are you going to do? So I've got a couple hours of driving now to get back to Los Angeles, and I worked on a little project for a family out in Palm Springs, and believe it or not, I just now, I'm like, oh my gosh. So I forgot to return all the goodies. So I'm going to get all the goodies back to this family, and they're real happy about that. They're like, yeah. It's so funny because of the fact that I always keep everything very, very organized. I'm Mr. Organization. I have a binder, and for every job I do, every little thing I do, I have a little binder, and I keep track of, whatever's going on, and it's all green lights here. We talked last time about quitting and how Jesus was not a quitter. And let's talk about perspective, though. Perspective. When you look at something from one perspective, you go, oh, well, it's obvious. It's just so obvious. It's crystal clear. You can see exactly. That's the trick that the magicians play. Magicians, they play that trick. Magicians, they love to have a perspective that gets you into perspective, and they say, this is the only perspective. This is the perspective. This is the only thing that you need to focus on. Focus here, focus here, focus here. And they get you focusing right over there. Well, just to the side, they're doing a whole nother deal, and they are performing their work of magic. And it's just a trick to trick. We've talked about this before. The trick of the DA back in the 70s or early 80s, when a man returned from Florida. He came back from Florida. I mentioned that? Florida. He was there as his friend was, he and his wife were having a baby out there, the friend, and so he was out there in Florida visiting friends and going to Walt Disney World, and he had videos and he had receipts. He had the whole Silver Lake Sports Events Equestrian. I bet you my friend's been there. So it's interesting. I'm all into horses now. Horsetown, USA, Norco. So somehow or another, this guy was suspected. Maybe somebody hated him. Maybe he was just the wrong color for the time. I don't know. But he was convicted of murder. Murder. He was convicted. He served 30 years in jail. Murder. A dirty, stinking, rotten murderer. Gotta die. Let him die. He's a murderer. We know. Well, because you have a certain perspective. That's how you know. Turned out after the 30 years in jail, a new DA was appointed to the town, and they started looking, and I guess the Innocence Project maybe was involved. I don't know how it all happened, but they decided to take a look, and they were like, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. If you look at it from over here, this guy does have all the receipts and things, and the argument was made. Well, yeah, he had access. He could have hopped on a quick jet and go over here, killed the guy, and gone back, and it could have, woulda, shoulda. Well, little problem with that. The man turned in receipts, paper receipts. He did. He had receipts. Golly. We didn't know about that. He had them. But someone in authority with power kept those receipts. They kept them. Oh, my bad. And so 30 years go by, and this guy has served jail for 30 years as a dirty, rotten, stinking murderer. Can't be much worse than a murderer, although there are things that are worse than being a murderer, believe me. Believe me. You can ask me, pal, I know. Help me, Lord Jesus. And so, the guy was totally vindicated because they finally turned in the receipts. They said, oh, well, we're a little tardy. Just a little tardy. Just a little hiccup in the old get along. Sorry, pal. Sorry. So this guy spent 30 years in jail for nothing because people were unwilling to see it from his perspective. They were unwilling, and apparently he didn't have a very good defense attorney, because why did the defense attorney allow the police to not get those receipts in? I don't know. I'm looking at it from a stranger's point of view. Perspective. There was another situation where a divorce was occurring, and I love this over here to my side. It's a bunch of little tiny poles, but when you look at them straight on, it doesn't look like anything. But if you look at them from an angle, it spells out a deal. It's kind of a bunch like a little toothpicks, but they paint. It's amazing little sign there, very modern. I mention it right now because you gotta go with the going's good here. I mean, it's happening right now. Not gonna make much sense if I mention it when I get to Wisconsin. And remember back in California, and remember when? No, that won't do any good. So, in a mad, crazy divorce, it's funny how, people can just say the darndest things. We talked about this yesterday. People say the darndest thing. So this fellow was accused of this horrendous act, but when was he accused of it? When, during the actual time period when this thing could have happened? No. No. It was months later. 3.5 months later, all of a sudden, oh my, and a har. And so, I love that. I gotta get this fan has gotta be fixed, because it keeps falling off, and then it runs the windshield wipers. I can put some Velcro there, and that'll tie that little sucker down. I'm gonna fix this little wagon. So, I like riding on the road. It's pretty cool. So I just think about this story, that 3.5 months go by, and all of a sudden they decide, my lands. Well, the law enforcement community, they just saw it for it. They thought, you know what? No, this doesn't make any sense. And the context of this is not right. And if the injuries and the harm that was supposedly caused to this person actually had occurred, why would it be that the caretakers and the guardians for this little person, why would they never have noticed anything in 3 months. They didn't notice anything supposedly the first few days or the week. They didn't mention that they didn't notice anything the first month. They didn't know, nothing was noticed. But all of a sudden, a wild-eyed lunatic allegation is made 3.5 months later. And by the way, the person that was supposedly affected had been to the doctor, been checked out, A-OK, everything's good. But then a secondary examination was done, and oh no, it's obvious. And there's, so you wonder, you think, what's the perspective on that? You know, when you look at it from, we're looking for guilt, we're looking to make sure, we're looking for anything that'll somehow prove that this person is a dirty, rotten skunk of a person, could do such a horrible. Well, when you look at it like that, then everything is on the table. If Johnny, pardon me, Johnny, here's Johnny. If Johnny, as seen as a punk thief, he's just a lousy punk thief. He's a stealer, not to be trusted. Well, whatever Johnny does then is seen as questionable, is seen as suspicious. Why does Johnny have the hat on? Oh, nothing. Just got my hat on. That's all. Just got a hat on. Oh no, he's hiding something. It's under his hat. He's got the old lady's diamond ring that he stole from the old lady in Wisconsin back in '85, and he's got it under his hat. He's trying to hide it. Quick, get his hat. And you can have a lot of hysteria and excitement about how Johnny's hiding things under his hat. He's like the Abraham Lincoln of thieves here. I mean, remember Abraham Lincoln had the stove fight and kept everything in his hat. So you could. I today challenge you. Yogi. This Yin-Ya is not in the slow lane, and I'm getting stuck here behind them, and they're just sitting here in the quick lane, but they should be in the slow lane because they're not past anybody, and they're going slower than the speed limit. So, but just barely, just kind of barely. And he thinks he's doing a great job, but he needs to be over in the slower lane because everybody on both sides of him is. When people are passing you on both sides, that's your clue, that's your hint, that's your indication that you're in the wrong lane. See, if you're not passing someone, then you need to be over in the right-hand lanes. That's the rule. It's real simple. And since I drive the freeways predominantly, every day I drive hundreds of miles on the freeway. Believe me, I'm an expert. And I am an expert. And I do know, get to the right. And I don't like it when people are not going to the right. Now he's to the right. Now finally he's getting the message. He's finally going over there. All right. There you go, Mr. Hotshot. Hey, get over there to the right and stay to the right. Don't sit over here in the fast lane. And see, people are passing me over here. You can see them. They go past me. That's fine. There's nobody, and I'm passing people on my right. That's how the freeway operates. The slowest people are in the right-hand lane. The fastest people are over here on this lane. And I guess the only exception would be Yogi. Well, I'm out of time. I gotta go. We will come back today. I'm gonna put a lot of videos in the can today, baby. We're gonna get things done. But let's talk about perspective again. Let's talk about it. Let's see what. So if Johnny is a thief and he's got that under his hat, oh, I'm a hat. And people think then anything he does, even if he doesn't have a hat. Well, you know what? He switched to his pocket. It's in his pocket. Look in his pocket. He stuck it somewhere. I mean, you can't believe it. I mean, when someone wants to believe something, it doesn't matter how much truth is laid out. If they have a belief, no one's going to convince me of the truth because I got a belief. All right, here we go. It's my number's 1-213-713-8954, 8954green@att.net, on the Twitter, Mr. Bob at Bob8954, and of course you're watching Bob's Daily Devo here on YouTube, where it's lively and quick. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.